Are you ready to dominate? Because it's time. From Philly to Vegas, Canada to Peru, and everywhere in between. It's time for the podcast that makes the offseason suck a hell of a lot less. From the creators of Dynasty Depot, the internet's only live auction site for Dynasty fantasy football teams. Here's your hosts, Nelson Verbit and Rick Taylor.
Yo, 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 and welcome to Dynasty Depot Live's Season 1, Episode 13. The Eagle has landed, or in this case, the rookies have landed. We have an action-packed show tonight. Very special guest. First, I want to bring in my co-host, my partner, my friend, Ricky T. Rick Taylor. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man. I'm good. Big night tonight. A lot to talk about.
It is the season finale, the end of this shindig, moving on to better stuff like jet skis and beaches and stuff like that. But we got a lot of business to take care of. We're going to move it along. Let's bring in our other co-host, the queen herself, Fantasy Heather.
Hi.
Hi, kid. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm sad.
Well, it's over.
All good things must come to an end, they say.
I told Heather today, Rick, I said, you want to keep doing this show so bad, you should just spin off, man. The Fantasy Heather Hour. It'd be
right.
Perfect.
You can produce for.
You produce. No, you produce.
No, I think I would be doing it all myself, Rick. I'm pretty sure it would be a one-minute show on that one.
There's no reason Fantasy Heather shouldn't have her own show in the off season. I mean, they got the lady on Sirius XM and Fantasy Heather, the top two people in the industry. Hey,
maybe somebody will pick me up.
Maybe they will pick you up. But tonight you are ours, and we are going to go right to work tonight because we have a very special guest tonight. We got to get through some material. Rookie drafts are coming up this Saturday, and no time to BS tonight. We're just going to go to work tonight. So without further ado, my very good friend from Sirius XM Radio, Mr. Bob Harris.
Greetings, humans. How's everyone doing today?
Hey, Bob, we're good.
We are always better with you on our screen, Bob.
That's like words that were never actually meant when they were spoken. I hear it often, and everyone is laughing silently behind their back.
You come on this show, there's going to be a little music talk. So you got the Megadeth shirt on. It's nice. It's going to fit in real nice later.
We love it. Let
me bring in your buddy from football diehards, the gridiron scholar himself, Mr. John Laub. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, good evening. I'm so glad to be here, ready to talk some rookies, but I wish I was at a Megadeth concert. I saw them in the 80s, and what a show they were back in the days when Dave Mustaine was about 27 years of age.
Man, that is good stuff. We're going to do a little rock talk. We got a little rookie of football talk. Like I said, we got the rookie drafts going off this weekend. We got to get the people some information, and it's all good. But before we do, Heather, this show is brought to you by...
So our season finale of Live-ish is brought to us by Dynasty Depot, the world's first auction site for FFPC Dynasty teams. You can bid on teams with your favorite players and then sell the teams for high profits. And of course, every team purchased on Dynasty Depot hits our world-famous leaderboard where we are giving away 4 FFPC main event seats where you can win $500,000. We also have a special offer, a twofer alert, if you will. Go to Dynasty Depot. Twofer. Go to dynastydepot.com and enter the promo code NERDS50. This is going to give you 50% off any annual Dynasty Depot membership along with a free Dynasty Nerds membership. So, dynastydepot.com, go check it out.
Everybody likes a twofer, right, Johnny? Twofer's good, right?
I've got no problem with that.
Yeah, I love that. Let's go to work. So every show, you guys have been on the show. You know, we start out with a WTF, what the you know what. But tonight we're going to gear it toward our rookies. Okay. So, Johnny, give me what the you know what was that team thinking when they chose who?
I was absolutely shocked when the New Orleans Saints took Peyton Turner, the defensive end from Houston. I'm an American Football Conference guy. I love the American Athletic Conference, AAC. I've seen him play. I'm old school. I want a defensive end who's a 3-down anchor. That means he can stop the run and rush the pass. Peyton Turner is a pass rusher, undersized. He's only 265 pounds. I want my 3-down defensive end to be 280 or above. He's got to set the edge in the run game. That's just me. I think you could have gotten Peyton Turner in the second round. I was shocked. I'll give the Saints the benefit of the doubt. They've been very good at drafting on the defensive side, but I just didn't see that player going off the board at that spot.
I love that. That's a great answer. He was one of the guys on my list. Heather, you know what that's called when you draft somebody in the first round that shouldn't have gone in the first round?
What?
That's called a reach. They reached. They reached right there. Bobby, give me somebody. What were they thinking when they chose?
Well, so I'm going to go just briefly with somebody who didn't choose to fill that Anthony Costanzo-size hole at left tackle in the draft or in free agency, right? The Indianapolis Colts had all the money on earth, had enough of their draft capital. I get how maybe in the draft, it didn't play out and the values weren't there the way you want them. But Sam Tebby filling that hole does not seem like the best move of all. But I'm going to go, as for the fantasy assets in this draft.
That's some crazy stuff.
Agree. That's like the WTF for us fantasy owners who wanted to draft Bateman and Wallace and have them on a good passing team. Now they're knocked down a notch this year. So I agree on that one.
Immediate hits for both those fellows.
Yeah.
Hate to see it.
Ricky, who was thinking what when you said WTF?
I actually was shocked that the Packers didn't go offense in round one. I mean, one, just to make Rodgers happy. And they don't have a great second receiver. So there were some guys sitting there. I couldn't believe they went cornerback in. From what I hear, that the cornerback's not even probably a first-round talent. So, they made up for it in the second round, but I was shocked to see them go defense.
To be fair, nothing's going to make Aaron Rodgers happy right now. So
correct. Didn't matter.
It's a good point.
Didn't matter. I'm going to give you one who I think is probably one of the top guys in the class, and everybody else does. But what is Atlanta thinking not taking a quarterback unless they had him graded way below Pitts? But it's hard to get into the top 3, top 4 in these drafts. And if you got to use capital like Philly did a bunch of years ago and the Rams and give away 3-4 drafts worth of people, if you got a shot at a franchise-changing quarterback, which obviously a lot of teams think some of these guys are, it's hard to take a tight end right there, when you got a 37-year-old quarterback. Just my opinion. Here we go. Moving on. Give me a hell yeah. Give me a hell yeah for the one player either in fantasy or a team that you root for, something was just a smash hit. The commissioner came up, read that card, and John Laub said, hell yeah. Who is that guy?
Every once in a while, the NFL and the fantasy gods come together. As you can tell, I'm a Broncos fan. My favorite seasons of all time was Terrell Davis and the back-to-back Super Bowls and the 2,000 yards. I won fantasy leagues, and the Broncos won the Super Bowl. Peyton Manning was unbelievable as a Denver Bronco, won fantasy championship. Maybe I get lucky one more time in my life. They moved up the Denver Broncos to acquire Javonte Williams of North Carolina. He was my number 2 back on the board before the draft. I love him. Now, I was mad that we bypassed Justin Fields. But day 2, I was happy. We got a stud running back. I'm ecstatic. I think he's going to be great in Denver. So hopefully, the third time in my fantasy life, I got a perfect match of player and team.
John, give me a Javonte. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, baby.
Go ahead, Bobby. Talk to us.
Well, I don't root for teams. I hate them all equally. They're all horrible. I just use them
Love
for
it.
my own fantasy purposes. That being the case, there's an obvious hell yeah here with the 24th pick. I mean, look, I've been doing drafts live for Sirius since 2016 in Chicago. It was very cold there. Much warmer in my house the last 2 years, but that's nothing aside. My heart was warmed though in this case to finally see a team with a huge need and a coach who famously said of Willie Parker when he first took over the Steelers, "I'm going to run the wheels off him." So, seeing Najee Harris go to Pittsburgh, where they'll use him as a receiver as well, and he has those skills, but would it have been great if they had the best offensive line in the world? Sure, I don't really care. It's 17 games. This guy's going to be out there with a clear path to workload, nothing standing in his way. I'll probably be overdrafting heavily.
Ricky, how was that for thunder stealing right there, my friend?
Yeah, I got to go down my list here.
You're going down the list right now, aren't you? Go ahead.
B and C here. This was a tough one. I had a couple of guys that I thought were good late round picks, like Michael Carter. But I thought Pat Freiermuth to the Steelers is another one. I wanted them to take an offensive lineman there, but when they picked Freiermuth, Ebron's old. They need that Heath Miller type of guy. He's tough. I loved watching him at Penn State. I think he fits their team really well, and he's going to be a 10-year staple of top 10 tight end type of guy.
That's a great call. I'm staying Homer too because we've just been Howie Roseman to death here in Philly, and it's been brutal. And he finally made a move, and Devontae's been the number one guy on my board. I don't care if he's 166 pounds, big hands, great route runner. In 2020, he put up 1,243 yards and 16 touchdowns with a lot of good receivers around him, and he was still able to put up those numbers, became a superstar this year. I think he's going to be a superstar in the NFL if he stays healthy, and we're really excited for Devontae Smith in Philadelphia. Moving on. I didn't think you cared, John. I really didn't think you cared. Give me a player not in the first round. We weren't talking about a lot, but the capital or the landing spot got your attention immediately.
Has to be my opinion. Josh Palmer, the wide receiver from Tennessee, landing in San Diego. Yeah. I watched a ton of Tennessee football, and it's bad right there. They've had no quarterback since Peyton Manning left. Well, they did win a title with T. Martin, but he's not an NFL prospect level. Josh Palmer was underwhelming from a production standpoint, but that's because of the team and the scheme and how they played football. He obviously had some elite skills that you saw, but he was so limited on the field. And I had heard whispers that the NFL had liked Josh Palmer. 6'1", 210 pounds. Obviously, big, physical, good receiver. But when the Chargers grabbed him in the third round, 77th pick overall, I went back Sunday and started to watch more of Josh Palmer again. Look more deeply at him. He's rosing up my rookie big boards because he's attached to Justin Herbert. And the one thing that we know, Justin Herbert has chutzpah. He throws the ball deep. And he was throwing to a lot of smaller receivers with no concerns whatsoever deep. Josh Palmer is now a big receiver who can fight for the ball deep one-on-one. I like Palmer in this spot. Draft capital, third round, tethered to a possible franchise star. I'm very interested.
I like it. That's a great call. Really, really interesting pick right there. Not somebody people were talking a lot about. And all of a sudden, people are looking him up, watching his tape. How about you, Bob?
I'll go to the fourth round, second pick, New York Jets. Look, the Jets have made an effort to get more explosive, clearly, right? I mean, started out with the Elijah Vera Tucker selection to go with Mekhi Becton to load up that left side of the offensive line for their amazing young quarterback, the off-platform thrower. They get Elijah Moore, great slot wide receiver with great big playability. And they add Michael Carter, the first of their two Michael Carters. That's the one I'm after. And I think it's easy to think he's just like a complimentary back. That's because what he's been doing in college is a complimentary role, playing alongside Javonte Williams. Still has a couple 1,000-yard seasons back-to-back, has 23 plays of 20 yards or more last season. This guy's an explosive threat. And I think more than that, though, you look at the situation he lands in that 49ers type, offense where the running back, whoever the running back is going to fare reasonably well. I don't know if Tevin Coleman has enough left in the tank or the ability to stay in the locked and upright position long enough to worry me. And I remember there was guys like Michael P. Ryan there, but I'm not really enthusiastic. I think Carter's going to be a bigger play than people realize.
Like it. Rick.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the second round. This guy I thought was just really too small, and that NFL teams would pass him over, but he went to the Rams, Tutu Atwell. I didn't even watch any film, didn't read much about him. I just thought he was going to fall, maybe not even get drafted until like 4th, 5th, 6th round. And second round's a lot to pay for a receiver. They got to see something they like at him. I don't know if either of you guys have watched film on him. What do you think that people are seeing?
He was turned sideways in the film I saw. I couldn't even see him. He's very narrow.
But second round, there's got to be something.
He's 155 pounds. Not that, and look, I've talked to this kid. He's a very nice kid, very obviously very driven, very enthusiastic. And, I tend to agree with what Devontae Smith said. This isn't bodybuilding. This is football. Also, this is professional football. And it's a physical game. And I hope he can hold up to it. And I hope he's a big play threat. They've got Deshaun Jackson to kind of carry him through for the 2 games he'll be available this year. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm not. Look, it's interesting, and I think he's a great playmaker. I do worry about the build.
Excellent point. So there was a guy that got drafted second round, I believe, the other day, into the second round. I'm like, man, if you could go somewhere, play for an amazing coach, and be taught by the best player in the history of football, Kyle Trask, man, when they announced him going there, I'm like, that is just a great pick because he can play and he's going to sit there for a couple years and learn from the best. He's going to have an opportunity to take that franchise over maybe in a couple years if things work out. But you talk about getting drafted to the right spot with the right mentor, the right coaching staff, great attitude, winning right now. I thought Kyle Trask really landed in a great spot right there. Definitely, when they announced it, I was pretty cool with that. Go moving on. Football for dummies. Give me a player that deserved the draft capital, but was just not the right team that picked him. So maybe somebody went in the second round, deserving. Everybody said second round, but why did they pick him? They didn't need him. Who is somebody like that, John?
One of my biggest risers from January in the draft last weekend was Nico Collins of the Michigan Wolverines. There were not a lot of big X receivers in this draft, and right. Nico Collins coming out of Michigan, and that's where athletes go to die in Jim Harbaugh's offense. If this young man had gone to Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, who knows what he could have accomplished in elite offensive passing game. 6'4", 215. I had him as a number 10 ranked pre-draft wide receiver on my board when it was all said and done. Unfortunately, he ends up in Houston. I just don't know where that organization is going right now. If I knew that Deshaun Watson, if I knew he was the guy, I would be obsessed with Nico Collins there. Are they going to really start Davis Webb? Davis Mills, at quarterback, a rookie from Stanford with 13 career starts? That is mind-blowing.
Good luck.
I want Nico Collins, but I just say to myself, wow. I think I have to go with Josh Palmer and Justin Herbert over Nico Collins and Davis Mills. I was so happy and so excited for the young man, but could he have fallen a spot? Now, he might get 100 targets just because they absolutely have no one else in the game script says they're going to throw, but how good are the targets? So that's just a shame in my book.
It's no good down there. That is no good down there in Houston right now. Bobby, who you got for me?
Well, I'm going to get you. So I'm a little keen on Trey Sermon because my friend Matt Waldman of the rookie scouting portfolio is that I'm often keen on the same guys he is because why? It's paid off for me over the course of time. And, the immediate flush excitement was, wow, he lands in San Francisco. That's a really good offense, really good for running backs. And I said, oh, yeah, my guy Raheem Mostert's there. Oh, yeah, Jeffrey Wilson Jr., who looks exactly like Raheem Mostert when he gets a chance to run there. And then they drafted Eli Mitchell late in the draft. And I'm thinking, well, this is – and they signed Wayne Gallman over the offseason. Right. Some of these guys. So, look, there were teams that had, clear past the workload. And I guess this is great news for the Myles Gaskins and Mike Davises of the world that the Dolphins and Falcons didn't dive right in on running back. Would have preferred him to go to a team maybe, look, no disrespect to Gaskins. He was great last year, but it was because they were committed to him. And all due respect to Mike Davis, he's no Christian McCaffrey. Doesn't need to be, but I don't know that he's lead back material. I think Sermon, and I say this about Sermon that Waldman put me on to him, but I mean, I don't watch a lot of college football. I saw 2 Ohio State games, and he stood out to me. Justin Fields obviously stood out, but beyond that, I'm going, this guy looks really good. And I get the backstory and the transfer and, couldn't beat out a fullback, all these things. But, man, he passed the eyeball test for me. So I think with the right opportunity, we all know it can happen for a young running back in the NFL.
I like it. Ricky, what you got?
Especially to the Sermon thing, especially in San Francisco, whoever they plug in there seems to have.
Right. I mean, wish it was the only one.
Could they actually do like a 5-man rotation out there?
Mostert gets hurt all the time also. So I think
but like Bob said, Jeffrey Wilson looks like Mostert 2.0. Pretty good to me. He's
you're right.
Play out there. So, yeah, we'll see. Go ahead, Rick.
I have this one's kind of obvious. Probably was too obvious for you guys to point out. ETN going to Jacksonville. I was disappointed in 2 senses. One, I just acquired a lot of James Robinson in the last 3 months, so now I don't know what to do with him. And I just think that if he would have had a more clear-cut role, ETN, he would have been, he could have been RB1 of this class if he went to the right spot.
Bob, let me hear your expert commentary on that ETN landing spot. What do you make of that thunder lightning kind of thing? What are you thinking there?
I don't like storms. I don't like thunder and lightning combos. More to the point, I like a clear path to workload. Look, I want one thing when I'm drafting running backs, and beyond that, you're taking your chances, right? You don't know what's going to happen. James Robinson has 1 year under his belt. It was phenomenal. It was also kind of an unusual year, right? Because they didn't have a quarterback. They just chose to run the ball no matter what. They just kind of put up the surrender flag, started tanking for Trevor or whatever you do for Trevor. That was Tua you tanked for. I don't know what you did for Trevor. But you lost games, and it didn't matter how far they were behind. James Robinson, as long as he was, upright and healthy, he was getting the football. And I wonder if that's going to be the same approach under Darrell Bevel, the new offensive coordinator. Also, Urban Meyer's long-standing lust for all things exceedingly quick makes me think ETN's going to have a super good role. That was interesting that he said he would have taken Kadarius Toney there if he would have been available. I mean, if I'm ETN, I'm going, really? Look, I think ETN is a hell of a player, and I think he'll cut into I think we'll see more lightning than we want if we're into the thunder.
Let me throw a different question. You guys don't have this. I didn't prep you on this. I'm going to throw it at you, one to each of you here. John, give me one player that was really, really helped by his landing spot. Maybe you weren't that excited about him, but now his landing spot has brought attention to you.
Well, to me, it's Amari Rodgers in Green Bay. But we have an amendment. If Aaron doesn't come back, I might be out. But I have to assume logical heads will prevail and they'll play. But that is a risk, and I understand that. But Amari Rodgers is a slot receiver attached to Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers is very tempting.
I like it. And Bob, I'll throw this to you on the flip side here. We've talked about a couple of them. Give me somebody that was just decimated by their landing spot. Really, really disappointed. I know we just talked about ETN. It's very disappointing there.
I think you point first. I mentioned at the top the two wide receivers going to Baltimore, and I don't even remember their names anymore because it just doesn't matter, right? Sorry, Bateman and Walls. Much respect to you kids, but it's a black hole. But if we're looking like at running backs, Ramondre Stevens ends up at the same place, right? He goes to the black hole for running backs in New England. So, and I really liked him. I thought he's maybe a little bit more a niftier guy. He's got good size, but he's got good feet and good hands as well. And so I kind of had some hopes for him, maybe landing in maybe a more fortuitous landing spot. That's not it. Same with Kenneth Gainwell. He just wrecks everything in Philadelphia.
See, I kind of disagree with the Gainwell thing a little bit in Philly. I think that there is going to be a role for him. Sanders gets nicked a lot. They obviously don't love him. The old coaching staff didn't love him. They were part-time in him. We'll see what happens with the new staff there. I kind of think Gainwell is going to have a role. And it's funny, as soon as you said black hole, the black cat in John's room walked by and hopped on the couch and jumped in the curtain there.
That cat has an affinity for me. He knows what I'm talking about. It's like we have a locked-in connection.
That's good timing. You can tell you're a veteran on the show, John. You clicked black cat prop and walked right across the couch there. It was good
Jupiter
stuff.
loves to stare out my window, man, for hours.
Yeah, we all do. We all want to be you. So, moving on. We do a little ranking segment here. These rookies have landed. Our producer, Fantasy Heather, has put spacesuits, moons, and stuff on here for each of you.
And Heisman trophies.
Okay, so these guys are landing. We're going to put up a segment for Bob here. He's going to rank these running backs according to their NFL careers. What kind of NFL careers? Who's the top guy moving down this list here? Who's going to have problems landing? Talk to me, Bob.
Right. So, I could look at this two different ways, of course. I could look at this over the long term from the dynasty perspective. But I'm going to factor in the immediate production as well. I'm going to go Harris, Williams, ETN, Carter, and Sermon. I could make an argument, and I might, that I like Carter a little better than Williams this year. Just because of that path to workload seems a little clearer. I know he's a compliment back. Melvin Gordon is still there. If Melvin Gordon disappears or evaporates or somehow is otherwise abducted by aliens, I'll probably be a little. Look, I'm all in on Williams. He's as good. I think he's right there with Harris. I just think the landing spot, is going to be a limiting factor his rookie year. Still would have him as the second best guy in this class, though.
I like it. You gotta land in the right spot for immediate production. But like we saw last year, we've seen it years after years.
Things change. The NFL is a funny place. Developments occur.
It changes, and usually talent comes to the top in this league. It really does. Let's talk wide receivers with John Laub, please. Landing spots. Look at John coming out of the spacesuit. You almost look natural there, brother. I know it. Armstrong, Laub, and who? What are the guys that landed?
You looked a lot better in the spacesuit than I did. I'm a little bummed out now.
He looks like you just want to salute him coming out of the space capsule.
My friend.
Talk to me. Rate him.
Yeah.
Rank him.
I believe that picture's Rondell Moore, so I'm going to assume it's Rondell Moore. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jettison one of my favorite prospects, and Bob alluded to it. It's tough with Rashad Bateman going to Baltimore right now. So I'm going to take him out of the top 5. And I'm going to put Rondell Moore at number 5. I do like the landing spot, but he is 5'7". So there are concerns. But Arizona is a nice spot, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to put Elijah Moore at number 4.
Yep.
The Jets don't have a real good tight end. You can keep dreaming for Chris Herndon. I'll just wait. But what that tells me is Elijah Moore is going to get peppered with targets in the short spot of the field, play a lot of slot. I like the way they're moving the offense in a more positive direction. They're not making the same mistake they made with Sam Darnold. They're going to give this young man an opportunity to be successful. It might not work, but they're not going to make the same mistakes they did with Sam Darnold and just give him no weapons. Bob's talked about Michael Carter. We have Denzel Mims coming back from last year. Now Elijah Moore. They've drafted 2 really solid offensive linemen the last 2 years. I'm a huge fan of Mekhi Becton. He was my number 1 left tackle last year. If he stays on the field, watch out, people. That left side of the line is going to be nasty in New York. So Elijah Moore is my number 4. I'm going to go Devonta Smith at number 3. Only reason why. Jalen Hurts only completed 51 or 52% of his passes last year. He's going from an uber efficient passing game with Tua 2 years ago and then Mac Jones. I don't think Jalen Hurts is as accurate. He's going to improve, I believe. I don't think he'll be at 51% his second year in the league. But can he get to 60, 65%? I don't think so. So I'm going to put Devonta Smith number 3. I'm all in on Tua Tagovailoa. I'm buying him in dynasty drafts. I'm buying him in best ball leagues as my 3rd quarterback. Miami gets the draft. They have built a good organization. I like their opportunistic defense, and they're giving Tua weapons. Jalen Waddle and Will Fuller are going to be a major problem for safeties. He couldn't, and I think people still underestimate how serious that injury was. Tua did not have confidence in his legs. I watched him a ton of Alabama. He was not the same quarterback because of that injury. I expect with a full off season, with confidence in his health, I expect he'll be better, and now he has some weapons. And, of course, there's no debate. Jamar Chase is the best receiver. He's at the top of the board. Landing spot's good. I don't love it. They got to protect Joe Burrow. They need to improve that offensive line. Hopefully they did, but Jamar Chase is the number 1 guy.
Excellent. All really good points. Heather, let's move to quarterbacks. Ricky T. We're going to get into this. We're going to get into this mock draft, and it's a little tricky coming up here. So go ahead and give me a ranking here. Obviously, Trev up top. But
Trevor's up top. I mean, the last one's pretty easy for me, too. Jones. I think there could have been some spots he went to. I'd have been a little higher on him. I don't see New England turning into a passing powerhouse anytime soon. So he's number 5 here. And then the middle 3 it's really tough. I have number 4. I have Wilson, just because we've seen 1 year of it. We have the Jets history with Darno. I don't know. I don't know that they're going to get it turned around there, and I don't know if I buy into him yet. Where I know the other guys, Fields and Lance, are they're going to be put in situations with their legs, more running. Lance in the Shanahan offense, and Fields is going to a team that's already pretty well built up. The Bears are a nice team, right? They're not starting from scratch, and he has some weapons. So I go Jones 5, Wilson 4, and then I got Fields 3, Lance 2, and Lawrence 1.
I got
real tough call though between
it is hard in the middle, and we're going to do this when we hit this mock draft. I'm interested to see where you experts.
I'm just going to say, I mean, we got Ricky here with the James T, the Tiberius Kirk look. We had Laub with the young Chuck Yeager, and I'm like the guy that you're just in the cheap Halloween costume astronaut.
Heather, can we get Bob back up here real quick? Hey, Bob, I got to tell you something. When you popped out and you took your helmet off, you have a little Scott Van Pelt in you. I got to be honest with you.
I've never heard that before.
You look so smart. You're like the smartest astronaut I've ever seen.
Captain.
You're the captain, Bob. But John is just a good-looking guy right out of the Air Force, got into the NASA program, and John looks sharp coming out of there.
I hope Bob doesn't not come back to us because I gave him a poor graphic.
I'm going to be okay with it. I'm just saying, it's like it's not bad. I'm okay. I'm just not Rick T or John Laub. I mean, I am not the scholar or.
Oh wait, the wrong way. It is pretty
Look at
sad.
that. I think it's the way John's like looking out at the crowd and acknowledging.
But it looks like the NASA class photo.
Right, like his hands are on his hips.
How long ago was that picture?
That was yesterday, Rick.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yesterday. Moving on. Let's go. We're on the clock here. We are going to do 2 quick mock drafts. We are going to do a standard mock draft right now. We're going to go 2 rounds, quick fire picks, quick explanation if you must. 2 rounds, FFPC, 1 point PPR, 1.5 points per tight end premium. Really interested to see where these guys land. And I was going to start with you, Bob, but again, John, it's the picture is swaying me to a lot of favoritism toward him right now still. He's just handsome coming out of there. He's just a handsome guy, dude.
Totally understandable.
101, buddy. Standard format. Talk to me.
Najee Harris. I don't even think it's close. Bob has mentioned it. Workload is there. I'm only a little worried about the offensive line, but I think they're going to improve. I think
should be worried about
they're going to be there.
Bobby?
I'm not against taking Kyle Pitts anywhere you want in dynasty format from 101 on. I'm going to go Jamar Chase here, though. Pair him up with Joe Burrow. I think he may, both those guys seem to be that once in an ages kind of talent. But I think the receiving role for, I wonder if that role is going to match all the hype for Kyle Pitts.
Like it. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah. Team makeup comes into play here where you're talking. It's
Sure.
Pitts or ETN. I'm probably taking Pitts here because of like the equity that he holds in a dynasty format right now. His name is big in ETN, not quite as much. So
I like it.
Trade value.
Back to you, John.
Hardest decision right here, and I'm still debating this between ETN and Javonte Williams. I'm going to have to go with this fact that ETN is competing only against an undrafted free agent. I'm going to take ETN here and the upside with the pass catching. He might get 60 targets in Jacksonville.
60 catches.
60 catches.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good over-under number for him. Bob, where you going? 105.
I feel like it's karmic payback here for Laub looking so great in that photo that I was left Javonte Williams. I will take this gift and run with it.
Like it. Rick, fire, my friend.
Yeah, this one is I thought about it a little bit, but I agree with what you guys said about the Dolphins. I'm going Waddle here.
Like
that offense is big this year.
Mr. NASA, you are back up.
I was hoping Waddle would fall. I'm going to have to go Devonta Smith here. I'm not going to be scared away because the Eagles have failed drafting an elite wide receiver. The workload is there. The target should be there. The opportunity's there. I'll take Smith here.
I agree with you. Go ahead, Bob.
Oh, I don't really even in dynasty formats, I don't like taking a quarterback this early. But Trevor Lawrence, just seems like a locked in, can't miss. I'll take the Shad Khan approach. This is the guy that's going to transform my team until I'm dead.
I think that 108 is the exact spot we're going to see him go, and that's probably the exact pick right there. Go ahead, Rick. Starts to get tough now.
I was in this spot in a rookie draft earlier. I'll go with the same pick there. Michael Carter, just his opportunity, the scarcity of running backs. I think there's a lot more receivers you can get. So going Carter.
I like it. Go ahead, Johnny.
I'm going to back up what I say. I'm taking Elijah Moore here. I'm hoping he gets peppered with 115 to 125 targets. I'll take him here. I love him in New York.
What's Crowder doing?
He's going to be playing elsewhere.
That's what I think, right? There's something with the contract June 1st.
They owe him $10 million. He's not getting it.
Right.
No, he's not getting it. That's it.
So will he be a post-June 1 cut maybe?
Yep.
That's what I think. Okay, Bob.
Boy, the next round of receivers that I really love are on teams that I don't really love them being on. I'm gonna go maybe. I'm gonna say Rondale Moore. I'm not like enthusiastic over the miniature wide receivers, but I do think they'll find him a role.
I agree with you there, Rick.
Yeah, they throw the ball so much in Arizona. He'll get so many targets. This one has more to do with draft capital than anything else. It's Kadarius Toney. You roll a first round pick on somebody, you're going to play him.
I'll give you back-to-back picks here, buddy. Go ahead.
Oh man, I got to look at my queue. Oh boy. Oh, this one's going to be Sermon.
Yeah. Now, we have seen him go as high as 1-6 in a couple of the early rookie mock drafts. Not mock drafts, actual drafts, which is interesting. Bob, down to you.
I have a couple guys I really like here. I think I'm going to go Terrace Marshall Jr. here, and I hope that Joe Brady can work the same kind of magic he worked last year when we saw 3 receivers in Carolina playing with Teddy Bridgewater fare really well. And I think over the long haul, I don't know how long Brady's going to stick around in Carolina, already hot head coaching commodity. But I do expect Sam Darnold to be better. I expect Robbie Anderson to catch more touchdowns and DJ Moore to keep DJ Mooring. But somebody's got to do the Curtis Samueling.
I mean, just having McCaffrey back in the backfield there is going to open up different things, right, that we didn't see last year. Yeah, it could be a really interesting offensive team down there this year. It really could. Go ahead, John.
I don't like to take a quarterback here, but I'm going to go for the ultimate upside. I'm going Justin Fields. The ability for him to run the football and possibly get over 700 yards on the ground if he played 15 to 17 games, I'll take that shot here. I don't like any of the running backs early now or this early in the second round.
I like it. Rick?
Yeah, I was going to go quarterback too. Fields was going to be my pick. So I got to pivot and go Lance for really a lot of the same reasons. It's a toss-up for me between those two.
Bob, before you pick, over, under, how many games does Garoppolo start before we see Lance?
Wow, this really depends on how healthy the rest of the team is, how healthy he is, and how successful they are. I'm going to say, given his history, probably early October we'll see Lance.
I had the number personally in my head at 7 games. So I think we're probably in the neighborhood there. Go ahead and give me a pick at 205.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the guy who's already the best wide receiver in Detroit, according to my buddy from Roster Watch, Byron Lambert, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah. But mostly not because Byron said that, although Byron's really good at this, but because he's a kneecap biter, and Dan Campbell wants those.
Interesting. Very interesting pick right there. There's nobody to catch the ball there. That's pretty scary. Go ahead, John.
Amon-Ra St. Brown was on my short list here. So I had mentioned this player before. I'm going to go Amari Rodgers. It's a risk. You got to hope that Aaron comes back, but I'll take Rodgers here.
Nice. Go ahead, Rick.
All right, this guy before the draft was going a lot earlier. I want to get you guys' opinion on this. So we talked a little bit about him. Rashad Bateman. I've been reading. The theory is you draft talent over landing spot. But I mean, are we overreacting on this one?
Yes, but not without good reason. I mean, no, we're reacting. We're just reacting to the facts as they stand, which is this team doesn't throw the ball, right? I mean, last in pass attempts, last in passing yardage. The guy that's the primary receiver for Lamar Jackson is a tight end named Mark Andrews. So, I mean, look, I get he's a talented guy, and I think he's, he may well be better than I expect. They just have to change the way the offense works for that to happen. And I saw Greg Roman say this very day that they will make use of all these great wide receivers that they've drafted, and I will believe all of that when I see it.
I agree with you. Give me a pick at 208, buddy.
I'm gonna go a little bit off the board here because it's time to go off the board. And none of the running backs really light my fire. I mean, Gainwell's okay, but I just don't ever think he'll be a primary guy. Des Fitzpatrick in Tennessee. Wide receiver.
Off the board. Interesting.
Tell me about him.
He's kind of a clone of what Josh Reynolds is, but maybe a little more physical. I think he could beat out Josh Reynolds and find a home early in his career, maybe even as a rookie, end up in the top 3 rotation for sure. I just don't think they have a lot of bodies at wide receiver in Tennessee. This is all about landing spot, and I don't expect the offense to be materially different than what we saw under Arthur Smith. I think we'll continue to see Ryan Tannehill succeed. He's going to need some players not named A.J. Brown. There's more tight ends left, so I'm going with Fitzpatrick.
Nobody's mentioned my guy yet. I'm waiting to see if he pops up here. Go ahead, John. Take us out here.
I think there's one tight end other than Pitts who's worth it in the premium. I'm going to go Pat Freiermuth of Pittsburgh.
Great pick.
It might not get a ton of targets, but I think he can be nasty in the goal line. I'm going to take a shot here. I'll take Freiermuth.
Excellent. Bob?
Yeah, just going back, Fitzpatrick is a wide receiver. I should have made it.
Thank you. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is all about vacated targets, and part of that is the tight end that left as well. So I guess if I'm going to be sitting here and stuck down at the bottom, this is a place where I would take a chance on Gainwell.
Ricky, give me the last 2, buddy.
The last 2. I'm going Eskridge.
Okay, so hold on there. Some of you guys, let's talk about him. His name hasn't come up. Interesting spot, right? I mean, Lockett gets banged up a lot. This guy's got some talent there, man. What do you think of him, boys?
He makes me think he's a little bit more of the same. I will say that, if you're like reading off the list of wide receivers and you get past the top 2, the Freddie Swain, that Eskridge, compares pretty well. But I mean, I think there's a reason we don't pay attention to anyone beyond the top 2 receivers in Seattle. They're not letting Russ cook much more than he has, I don't think. And the 2 guys ahead of him are super good. And so that's my only concern with him. Look, Russell Wilson was tweeting about him, seems to love him, seems to be excited about him. I'm hoping for the best for him. I'm just not keen with the spot he's going to hold as that wide receiver 3 in Seattle. I just don't know if they're going to, as my friend Marcus Grant said, Russ wants to cook, but Pete likes to go to the drive-through.
Yeah, that's no good. we've seen when Russ cooks, that team wins a lot of games, and when he doesn't, they're okay. Go ahead, Rick. Finish this up, buddy.
Yeah, this one's a bit of a reach, but I'm going to go Nico Collins. I know we talked about his landing spot, but hey, maybe Deshaun will be back midseason.
Awesome. That's a really good idea. There's a lot of these players that have fallen in drafts I've seen, and you guys are right on spot on with some of these guys. I'm going to tell you that somebody between 2.5 and 2.12 will probably be a breakout player this year because that's just the way it goes. You just, which one's it going to be? The world seems to be all super flex now. We're going to do a 1-round mock super flex draft because I want to see where you guys are taking these guys.
You got a 10-minute warning, Nelson.
Oh, no, I'm already on it. I'm on Bob Harris time right now.
Okay.
Mr. Harris. 101 for you, Superflex.
This feels quite unfair against Trevor Lawrence.
Hold on, Bob. I changed my mind.
Do it.
Easy pick. Rick 101. I want to hear what these guys are going to say. Go ahead, Rick.
You throw me the softball. I'll take Trev.
Okay. Trev obviously goes there. Superflex. Really interested, Bob. Who you got here?
I'm going to go with Justin Fields. I'm thinking the Bears maybe got this right. I do like the coach. It's easy to remember or to forget that Matt Nagy was like the coach of the year a couple seasons back. He comes from the Andy Reid tree, knows how to work with a young quarterback and bring him along. He was there for Patrick Mahomes' first season in Kansas City. I'm hoping Ryan Pace got it right this time. And again, not a watcher of film or a grinder of tape or a watcher of a lot of college, but every time I looked up, I saw Justin Fields making huge plays. By the way, interesting, I keep watching the replay of the, 2017 Elite 11 that they show on NFL Network. Who are the 2 quarterbacks that you saw in that we still know? Those 2, Trevor and Fields.
Go ahead, John. 103, Superflex.
This is a conundrum for me. I'm going to go Zach Wilson. I can't bypass the second pick, and I know there's a lot of different debate on him. I believe the Jets building an organization around him that can make him be successful at the NFL level. He was the second pick in the draft. I'm taking Zach Wilson.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, well, quick one for you though, John. When you watch him, do you see the hype? Do you think it's legit on Wilson?
I am a Zach Wilson guy. I know there's a lot of people who are not. Yes, does he have some holes in his game? Absolutely. But I see some miraculous plays with good coaching, good personnel, and if they can rein in his kind of hubris on the field, I think he could be a very special. I have to project him, and I think his ceiling's incredibly high. Now, there's a huge floor. I see that too. I'm willing to take the risk here.
I think part of the reason you're taking the risk there is being you're such a good-looking guy, coming out of that astronaut suit, and then I saw Wilson, just sharp-looking kid going to New York. You guys got a lot in common, so I'm sure that had something to do with that pick there. I'm pretty sure of that. Go ahead, Bob. Give us 104.
I'll go ahead and take. I got Chase. I'll go ahead and take Kyle Pitts here.
That's where the break.
Look, he is a generational talent. He is a unicorn. Love what Arthur Smith talked about using him as a runner, receiver in varied ways. We saw that in Tennessee, right? We saw the tight ends working out of the backfield, out of the slot. I think we're going to see him used in a lot of unique ways, and maybe more immediately than we could hope if Julio Jones is moved at some point.
So you feel he'll be the first non-quarterback taken in Superflex?
In the Superflexes I've been in, and the one I've been in, he was, and that was a pre-draft dynasty rookie draft, which is, thanks, Scott Barrett. I hate you.
Yeah, that's tough. Go ahead, Rick, 105.
This is Lance for me.
Yep.
Last chance to get a quarterback. Yeah.
Back to you, John.
I feel lucky here that Najee Harris will fall all the way to 106. I'd be ecstatic to get him here.
Yeah, that's a really good pick there. Go ahead, Bob, 107.
I feel like I'm a greedy SOB for taking Jamar Chase right here, but I'm doing it anyway. I don't care. Laub looks good in a spacesuit, and so does Rick T. I get all the good players.
I like it.
I'd be pretty happy with that 6-7 slot there.
Right. That's what I'm saying. 6-7 doesn't look too bad, especially if you got some quarterbacks on your team. Rick, you've been sniped again, 108.
I have. I'm going to go with Javonte.
John?
Oh, Javonte.
I'm going to go here. I just finished my rankings. I'm going to go Jalen Waddle. I think the upside in the Miami passing game, I'm going to take him there at number, what's that, 9?
9.
Yeah, another great pick. Go ahead, Bob.
Step on down, Mr. ETN. I'm not going to lie. I like the way this one's going.
Okay.
I'm going to go Elijah Moore.
Oh.
Well, that just makes me want to put you right back on the gun at 112 here, John. Right back on the gun.
I have to go draft capital. I have to go pedigree. I'm going to go Devonta Smith to close out, taking the Heisman winner. He could be the number one, the number one in targets on his team. I'll take Devonta Smith here.
Interesting that what you guys did, and I don't feel like this will happen, but there's a possibility of a first-round quarterback with a clear path to starting relatively soon, not going in the first round of a Superflex draft. I'm sure the guy sitting at 201 would not be upset to take Mac there, right?
No, if I was at 201, that would be my pick.
Yes, it would be. Boys, thank you so much. This is great. Great information. I can't thank you guys enough. We're going to move real quick. Heather, bring it on. We got to get some rock and roll on here. Who you got? I'm going to give each of you guys a quick who you got here. I picked out hard rock metal songs from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Okay, one of each. Bob, 1970s. Do you got the Immigrant Song or Paranoid?
I got Paranoid. Come on now.
Johnny, who you got here?
Oh, man. I mean, I must have listened to Paranoid 2,000 times. You got to go with Paranoid here.
Let's go to the 80s, Heather. Welcome to the jungle or hell's bells?
I'm going first, and it's not even close. The levels of debauchery that both Guns N' Roses and I took part in listening to the Appetite for Destruction album were epic, and Welcome to the Jungle was a big part of that.
Bob, was that album, Appetite for Destruction, was that like, Bob Harris is just destruction, man, let's just name the album after him?
Again, the soundtrack for debauchery are the words that come to mind when I think of that album.
Johnny, who you got here?
This is going to sound crazy, but I was a sophomore in high school, loved Hell's Bells. So I'm going to go back to my romantic, crazy years in high school when we had a boombox and we used to listen to that album time and time and time again. I'll go Hell's Bells. But I did love Appetite for Destruction.
I got to tell you something. You say the word romantic, my mind immediately goes to John Laub. Immediately. I love that. Going to the 90s. Who you got? Oh, boy, that shouldn't even been up here. You got the Rooster, you got Smells Like Teen Spirit.
I've sat down and talked to Jerry Cantrell about writing the Rooster. This isn't even close.
So did you help write that song, Bob?
I did not help write that song, but there's something to be said for hanging out in Jerry Cantrell's living room, playing with his cast, listening to him talk about songwriting.
Were you in the room when he wrote that song, Bob?
No.
That disappoints me because that would have been a really cool disclosure out here on Dynasty Depot Live. What do you got, John Laub?
I have to go with Rooster. There's something special about that song. When I first heard it, I was blown away. I'll never forget the Rooster, so I'm going with that.
Yeah, mad respect to Nirvana, man. No slighting here. These are all high-level choices, as you knew when you set us up to make.
John, when you say the words "blown away," describe what was happening. Blown away. Where were you? What were you doing there, buddy?
I think I had my first job out of grad school. I was working for a magazine. I had like an hour drive home from work, and my friend had given me the cassette tape. And I was like, what the hell? This song rocks. And I had to play it again. You have to hit the rewind button on the old cassettes in the car. I was like, whoa, the Rooster, this song is outrageous.
Bob Harris, where can everybody find you, my friend?
Find me at Football Diehards. Find me on Twitter at Football Diehard. Find me on SiriusXM on the Football Diehard show, and also on Fantasy Dirt.
Awesome. I was lucky enough to be on Mr. Fabiano's show a few weeks ago.
You were lucky enough to do it on a night on one of my off nights.
You weren't there. Did you hear me on there? I was pretty good, man.
I heard tales of this.
Yeah, I threw a nice curveball to a certain Mr. Phillips, general manager. I caught him off guard with a slider 3-2 he wasn't looking for. Johnny, where can we find you?
On Football Diehards are all my written rookie profiles, and I'm coming out with my post-draft rankings later this week. And then you can find me on Twitter at GridironSkull91. I couldn't afford the A and the R when I signed up, so it's GridironSkull91.
That's because NASA has not forwarded you the residual check from that landing on the moon yet. Heather.
Yes, sir. There we go. At the Dynasty Depot on Twitter and YouTube, and of course Instagram and Facebook, and www.dynastydepot.com.
So awesome. This is our season finale. We will be back with Dynasty Depot Live in September, opening weekend of the NFL, live from the FFPC main event ballroom in Las Vegas. We are taking this show on the road in September. Much thank you to my very good friends Bob Harris and John Laub. I can't appreciate your time enough. Love you guys. See you in September. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Dynasty Depot podcast, the best source for what's hot in Dynasty Fantasy Football team action. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at the Dynasty Depot. And listeners get a 30-day free rookie membership. Go to dynastydepot.com and use promo code PODCAST. Dynasty Depot. Bid, buy, sell, dominate.
Thanks, Bob.